What's up, everybody? Phoenix Night Driver here. Going to talk a little bit, well, going to talk this whole stream about the coronavirus and guidance that was put out by Uber and by Lyft. And, does that help? Is it useful information? And a couple of other bits of information about staying healthy and what to do with outbreaks and that kind of stuff. So let's just jump right into the guidance that was put out by Uber. First of all, I was looking ahead here. So 2 days ago, Uber drivers, at least in the United States, we were sent a notification on our app that said a reminder about coronavirus. And this was the first official communication about coronavirus from Uber. And basically, it's just a list of things that the CDC has already given us about guidance. It says we'd like to remind everyone about recommended steps. We're working closely with public health authorities for up-to-date guidance, et cetera, et cetera. And then the steps that they give, we encourage you to follow this guidance, such as, and there's 4 things that they list. If you feel sick, stay home. We'll address that later. Wash your hands frequently, which you should be doing anyways, to be honest with you. Cover your cough or sneeze, which again, like some of this stuff, honestly, I feel like shouldn't be guidance because it's shit that we've already been taught to do. At least I was taught to do from the time that I was a kid. Now, maybe not everybody was taught the same things as me. I don't know, but I feel like this is basic information. And then clean and disinfect frequently touched surfaces in your vehicles. And we'll get into that a little bit. And then it says, as always has been the case, if you feel uncomfortable picking up a passenger for safety reasons, you can choose not to accept or cancel the trip, but you're not allowed to discriminate. And then it refers you to the CDC website. And then from Lyft, we received a notice that says information. If you go to your Lyft app, if you're a Lyft driver as opposed to an Uber driver, or you do both, it's got a link that says information on coronavirus. It takes you to this link and it says Lyft's latest info on coronavirus. And it's kind of the same thing. Take care of yourself, wash your hands often. When you can't get to a sink, hand sanitizer is your next best option, which is something that was in the Uber one as well. Keep your car clean. If you're a rider, help keep the driver's car clean. Stay informed. And then follow these tips from the CDC to keep yourself healthy. Wash your hands with soap and water. Use hand sanitizer if you can't wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Cover your face. Don't sneeze onto things. Sneeze into a tissue. Blow your nose into a tissue. Cough into a tissue. Like, this is basic stuff that we should be doing, and it's troublesome that this is the guidance that we're getting, because either they feel like people aren't doing this, which is bad, or they don't have better guidance. Frequently disinfect surfaces, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit, and then call a healthcare professional if you develop symptoms, basically. And then also, we don't tolerate discrimination of any kind. So that's something that needs to get brought up here, because something that drivers have been doing and that needs to stop is that they've been seeing that they get a passenger with an Asian looking face, like Asian looking passengers, or they see a name and it's an Asian looking name, or it's even in a Chinese character, which is a whole other issue. I get it. And they've just been like, okay, I'm not going to take that trip, or I'm not going to let you get in my car. Because why? Because you look like you may be somewhat kind of by, hundreds of thousands of years related to somebody that is on a different part of the planet. It isn't a race thing. It's a health thing. So that's one thing that really needs to get addressed. Don't discriminate. It doesn't matter if a person is sneezing and coughing and it doesn't look like they're healthy and it looks like they're sick. Again, that doesn't discriminate. And if you feel like they're not healthy enough to be given a ride, then you can go ahead and say, hey, I'm not going to let you get in my vehicle because you seem sick and I don't want to get sick. I don't want to get my other passengers sick. I don't want to spread this disease. Find another way stay home and take care of yourself, call a doctor, find a way to get to a medical professional that isn't getting other people sick. And I feel like that's something that we, as passengers, as people that need rides, it is something that can be done. You don't have to go through Uber and Lyft to get a ride somewhere. You can, use your insurance, contact your insurance company and say, hey, I feel like I'm coming down with something. I don't want to get other people sick by taking rideshare. What are my medical options? Can I call an ambulance? Is this something that is worth calling an ambulance for? Or what should I do? Or if you are sick, but you're not like getting it everywhere, wear a mask. Let yourself humble yourself, if you will. Swallow your pride, put that mask on, and then when you order that ride, say, hey, I've got this mask on. Just take me to a medical center. And if you are sick, you shouldn't be going anywhere else except for to get medical treatment or to come back from getting medical treatment. All of those other options, all of the other things that you may think are important are not important. Do not be going and getting in a rideshare while you're sick because you want to go grocery shopping or anything like that. Call somebody to do that for you. Get some help. Being healthy and keeping the coronavirus from just taking over all over the place is a community thing. We need to work together. So if you need groceries and you're sick at home, have somebody come and bring it to you. But I'm going to kind of step back a little bit and go over this. Some of the stuff that we can do as drivers to help keep the spread of this disease is, one, like we said, wash our hands, keep a clean car. I carry this around, this Lysol disinfectant spray. I spray it after every couple of trips, like probably about every 5 trips, or 5 passengers, I should say. I spray it in my vehicle. I have had, since the coronavirus situation was announced, I've had 2 people get in my vehicle that needed to go to the hospital. Neither one of them, well, they actually went to an urgent care center. Neither one of them was coughing or sneezing or anything like that. I don't know what was wrong with them. It's not my place to ask. There was no outwardly visible signs or symptoms. And I'm sorry about that. I'm streaming from my apartment and stuff like this happens. But there was no like outward signs or symptoms of anything that made me think that they had the coronavirus. But I still sprayed right after they got out of my vehicle. I went in there, I sprayed the door, I sprayed the outside of the door, wiped it down with a microfiber cloth, and I cleaned the inside of my vehicle. And I do it at the end of all of my trips, and just, you do it when you have passengers, you do it in between passengers, when you get a break. Just let yourself take the time to clean down the inside of your vehicle. It is very helpful. Also, it's a good idea. Carry masks with you. Have them somewhere where it's visible. If someone is in your vehicle and maybe they don't show outward signs because maybe they're thinking they're not going to be allowed to get a ride if they're coughing and wheezing and all that. So they really do a good job of holding it in, but you're on a trip for 5 minutes and all of a sudden they're coughing up a lot and you start to suspect, go ahead and say, hey, put on one of these masks. If you feel like you can't stop the ride because you're on the freeway or for some safety reason, give them a mask, tell them to put them on, have it somewhere in the back seat, ask them to put that mask on. I get that as drivers, we may not want to wear these masks. You may want to wear one of these masks. I'm going to admit, I don't personally want to put on a mask because I don't want to freak out my drivers or my passengers, but you may feel safer by putting on a mask, and it doesn't hurt to put on a mask and then go, hey, and put a sign up that says, I'm wearing a mask because I want to be safe and I want to stay healthy. It's for my protection, whatever. But it's important to make sure the inside of your vehicle is cleaned off. Make sure that you are paying attention to your passengers so that you know if they are coughing or if they're doing anything that could spread any kind of disease, not just coronavirus, but the flu or cold or whatever. Be paying attention to that. And if someone's going to get in your vehicle and they're sick, you do have the right to decline that ride. You can cancel the trip and you can immediately send that message, be like, hey, I canceled, for whatever reason, or you can end the trip early, let them off, but be safe about it. And again, do not discriminate about, just because someone is Asian looking, that's not a reason to not let them in your vehicle or to treat them differently just because you're scared. Don't be scared. be smart. So now about these guidelines, I said I was going to talk about this whole this first bullet point that Uber put out about what to do to be safe. If you feel sick, stay home. I've been seeing a lot on Twitter and on social media that a lot of drivers are like, oh, well, Uber doesn't give us sick days. We can't just stay home. And that's true. Uber doesn't give us sick days. The reason Uber and Lyft and Postmates and Grubhub and all of those other gig economy people don't give us sick days is because we are not their employees. And this is an important thing to keep in mind. We are not their employees. There are no sick days. There are other steps that independent contractors get to take to deal with these kinds of situations. Other industries where there are independent contractors, they also don't get sick days. They have to plan ahead for this kind of stuff. They have to plan ahead. They have to set money aside. And that is something that we should be doing. Now, I'm not going to come out here and act like, oh, I've got 3 months of income set aside. I know that I don't, but I'm not blaming other people for that. We have to take accountability for ourselves. So we have to get our own health insurance, and we have to make sure that we have a savings set up just for this reason. Your savings that you should be setting aside is not for you to go on vacation with. That is a whole other savings, but we should always be saving up money, especially as independent contractors. You never know what's going to happen. Let's say Uber decides, actually, let's bring this up. On Friday in the Phoenix area, Uber is about to bring down new pricing guidelines. How much, changes to how much we're going to be getting per mile, depending on where we give rides. And that's going to change a lot for the rideshare industry here in Phoenix. If that means that my earnings go down and I decide that I want to go back and get a full-time job, I'm going to need to have a means for taking care of my bills and my expenses while I search for a full-time job. Driving and searching for a full-time job may not work out for me. So we need to have something set aside. Now, I get that a lot of us don't. And I get that we're thinking, oh, well, I'm supposed to be depending on my work to earn money. If you do not have enough savings, enough money set aside to cover your expenses, to cover your bills while you recover from being sick, then you've got to take that into account. It doesn't matter that you didn't plan ahead. It's not fair to all the hundreds of people that you're going to come in contact with if you're feeling sick for you to get them sick, because that spreads. If you give a ride to a person because you didn't plan ahead and they are sick, and you're sick, and you get them sick, and then they get in my vehicle and they get me sick, now that's hundreds more people that are going to be sick. So you've got to take precautions. If you are sick, you need to stay home. If you need help, you need to look for help. What ways can you get help? You can talk to family and friends. You can see if there's anything that doesn't involve interacting with people that can be done as a gig. Maybe take out a loan. I don't know if you have a huge expense, but it is important not to get other people sick. Now, like I said before, you could be wearing a mask. You could wear gloves. You could see if that'll work. But I have a feeling that if you're all dressed in like you're a hazmat suit, people aren't going to get in your vehicle. You're still not going to be making earnings. Don't go out and get people sick. Take precautions. Talk to a doctor. Get healed up as fast as possible. Talk to people. Talk to your friends and your family. Let them know, hey, I'm feeling sick. My primary form of income is rideshare driving, but I can't do that because I don't want to get other people sick. Can you help me out? Look for alternate means, but don't be going out and getting people sick as a driver. Just like I said to passengers, don't be going out and getting in an Uber and Lyft just because you feel like you want to go run your groceries or whatever other errands. If you're sick, you need to seek medical help. You cannot be spreading this virus or any other virus, the flu, a cold, it doesn't matter. You shouldn't be spreading that. If you absolutely must take a rideshare, take it upon yourself to put on a mask, to be healthy, or to at least prevent the spread of it. And if somebody gets in your vehicle as a driver, cover that surface. Once they get out, put that spray down. Don't let yourself get sick. Now, another thing that I noticed is that only Uber and Lyft have put out guidance on this. I didn't get anything from Postmates. I am signed up for Postmates, and I'll go back and check my emails and the app. Actually, I'll just check the app right now and see if there's notes from Postmates. I don't drive for Grubhub. I don't drive. I don't do Instacart, and I don't do. There's DoorDash. So I can't really tell you if they put out anything, but I'm looking right here on my app. I don't have anything specific from Postmates. I'll hit their newsroom. Okay, so Postmates, if you are a Postmates driver, hit the newsroom. In the newsroom, they put in here quick tips to stay healthy. They don't specifically mention coronavirus in here. Okay, yeah, they do. Steps you can take to prevent the spread of respiratory diseases like the flu or coronavirus. So they're taking a more general stance, but it all applies. And avoid close contact with people that are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. I guess if you feel sick, whatever. Stay home when you're sick. So Postmates is saying stay home. Uber is saying stay home. Lyft did not say stay home. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently. And there's no vaccine, but you can find out more information by clicking a link, which is taking us to the CDC website. And that's the other thing. All of these guidances are taking you to the CDC website. Honestly, drivers, passengers, there's not much more that these companies can do. They are not medical companies. They cannot say, do this, that, or the other. They can only say, stay home if you're sick, be sanitary, and be careful with who you pick up, but do not discriminate. That's all that they can really say. They're not going to come out. We've had Uber and Lyft for how many years now? For 10, 15 years. They've been around for a long time. They're not going to come out and say, hey, by the way, we're putting together a fund for people that can't drive because they're afraid of the coronavirus. That fund would dry up immediately and everybody would only get like a penny and it wouldn't benefit anything. They have healthcare plans. Use those healthcare plans. Set some money aside. Plan for the future, because this is what happens. This is what you plan for. You plan for the possibility that you're going to get sick, that you're going to get injured. The same thing honestly goes for the fact that your drive time may only be covered partially in case you get in an accident. You know, your vehicle and you are not necessarily covered just because you have the app on. And that's some information that got put out recently as well, that they're changing the insurance coverage. So now when you accept a ride, all the way to the point where you drop them off, you're covered. But if you have the app on and you don't have a ride, you may not be covered for enough. You may not be able to cover your bills for a couple months. So that is another reason why you take the time, plan for the future, and set this stuff aside, because things like this can happen and you need to be prepared to pay for bills for a couple months while you figure out what your next steps are going to be. But most importantly, do not add to the problem. Do not become part of why the coronavirus, the flu, or anything else gets spread. We don't want this to get spread. There's already been in the United States 2 people that have died in the state of Washington. And hopefully that's the last of it. And you know, one other thing that I saw on Twitter that I think I should bring up is that somebody mentioned that the 2 people that died in Washington are elders and that they are not the typical rideshare targets. Don't buy into that narrative, because that's not actually true. I know I take a lot of older people, and I'm a nighttime driver. I cannot tell you how many people that are definitely decades older than me have gotten in my vehicle, and it's been after 9 o'clock, after 10 o'clock. If you drive during the day, you're going to take older people. That doesn't mean, just because older people have been the ones that have died, doesn't mean that they're the only ones, that they're not the ones that are targeted, that you don't got to worry. You're never going to have an old person in there anyways. The disease spreads to everybody. Anybody can be killed from it. We need to prevent the spread of it. And it's simple to prevent. You do the same things you do to prevent the spread of the flu, the same things you do to prevent the spread of a cold. You keep clean, you keep sanitary, and if you're sick, don't give it to other people. It's that simple. So that's the guidance that's been put out. You know, clean your vehicle, whatnot. I'm just going to highlight this again. I like shaking this little bottle of Lysol. This is your friend. spray this in your vehicle as much as possible. One last measure I'd like to mention, I haven't done a lot of research on this, but I think is something important to consider, is we all know that taxi cabs, well, not all taxi cabs, but a lot of taxi cabs have a protective, like, kind of window in them to prevent people from doing things. I believe this is something that should be looked into, not just for safety for health reasons, but for just general safety, you know, to keep people in the back of your vehicle, and prevent them from doing things. And I know I'm opening up kind of like a, well, you know, passengers may not feel safe with that, but really, if you're a driver, you need to do what you can to make sure that you're safe, both healthy safe and physically safe, and also to make sure that you are doing what you can to prevent passengers from being in an unsafe environment. So prevent them from spreading disease, prevent them from getting sick when you can. And while it may not stop everything, it can help. If a passenger is in your vehicle and you've got that shield up and they sneeze and they don't cover themselves, it's going to hit that shield, and then you can do something about it. Just something to consider for the future. And this is going to be a short stream. I really don't have much more to say about this. The guidance is out. There's not really much that we can do. So stay clean, stay safe, stay healthy. Don't spread the disease. That's really all there is to it. You know, if there's something that you feel like more could be done, you know, hand sanitizer, sanitizing spray, if there's something else that you can think of, feel free to put it in the comments. Feel free to message, you know, send me a message on Twitter, and I'll retweet that, you know, or tag me on Twitter if you have an idea, and I'll retweet that information. But yeah, that's it for now. Stay safe, stay healthy, don't spread the disease, and we'll see you later. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification button.